Hey, what's up, YouTube Lane? Got Drew Dinkmeyer, Mike Gallagher here. We're gonna talk through this trade deadline, and it's been, I'd say, pretty fast and furious morning. We've got Kyle Lowry sitting out there. It looks like might just get playoff Rondo. I guess Hawks are gonna make the playoffs anyway with the run they've been on, but Rondo maybe going to the Clippers here. Gallagher, this is your Christmas, man. How's it going so far?
Loving it. Fun morning. Got thrown off by the early Vooch trade that I wasn't seeing, and yeah, excited to get stumped again with I'm sure at least another trade.
Drew, let's talk about the Bulls, man. Me and you both root for the
Yeah.
Bulls. Kicked off the morning. I think I'm mostly indifferent to it.
Yeah.
I don't think it swings a whole lot. I thought the price was pretty high. Two first round picks. The biggest thing for me is I think I'm just disappointed that Wendell Carter Jr. stinks, and it's just like
Yeah.
now it's for real that he stinks, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
feel the same way.
Well, I don't feel like he stinks. I feel like he hasn't played well. He hasn't taken a big leap forward, which I think we all hoped would be the case. And I think the offense in the preseason and into the regular season was kind of set up for him to do that. Um, I'm still really high on him long term. He's still 21 years old, and centers usually take a while to develop. So yeah, I was really sad to see him go. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be a really I think his floor is like starting center in the league, and I think his ceiling is like impactful starting center in the league. Um, so I think that was a really good move from Orlando's perspective because really they were just in a mess of a situation with Gordon and Vooch, and they needed to tear things down. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of that. From the Bulls' perspective, and I tweeted about this a little bit, but I don't think it's a bad trade by any means. I think there are some question marks about what it does for your ceiling as far as championship contender down the road if you're trying to build that way because Vooch has been a very good statistical fantasy type player and a very limited impact player. Um, as an example, the Magic are 8 points per 100 possessions better this year when he's off the floor defensively. And that's really the big issue. And Levine and Vooch are going to be able to score a lot, but they're also going to give up quite a bit. So the Bulls really need to make an effort now to shore up kind of the defensive pieces around them. Patrick Williams, I think, can definitely be that guy at the four. Larry Markkinen has no fit on this roster now whatsoever. They need to move him and get whatever they can for him. The targets of Lonzo Ball would make a lot of sense. It would make a ton of sense to have Ball as your primary guard defender, your transition initiator, your spot up shooter on offense while Levine has the ball. So I think there's ways that they can make this better. I think they'll get into that play-in area with Vooch and Levine. And I like the secondary deal they made too, getting Troy Brown and Mo Wagner for Gafford and Hutchinson, who I don't think are players in the NBA. I don't think they're NBA players. So they got two guys that I think, one and a half. I'm not sure on Mo Wagner, but I'm pretty sure Troy Brown is an NBA player. So I thought that was good, but I'm sad to see Wendell go. Shout out to Mike Leone, who got a Wendell cameo for me when I was at a low point in my life. And it was really sweet and sincere. So I have a special place in my heart for Wendell Carter Jr., and I will be rooting heavily for him to reach his potential in Orlando.
Love it.
He's on our combo team together too now. We picked him up. Pumped for that.
Before we get Gallagher's take on that, it looks like the trade is official now. Clippers get Rondo, Hawks get Lou Williams. That's what we're hearing right now. I don't know if there's anything else involved in it, but it appears that it is happening. So that's interesting. We can talk about that in a minute. Gallagher, before we do that, seemed like you were pretty excited about this Vooch deal.
I love it for Orlando just because, like Drew was saying, I mean, they draft all these power forwards, they draft all these front court dudes. Like, just reset it, man. Like, the time you have Vooch, you're gonna be bad. So get something else. Have Wendell Carter Jr. under control for a little bit. Get draft picks. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. So I like it. We didn't think they were gonna do it, but they did it. So yeah, I mean, Chicago, they're like in sixth, seventh, eighth seed purgatory for a little bit until they change things. So yeah, but a lot of fantasy fallout. Vooch certainly a little bit of a hit with Levine. I don't think Levine will be affected too much, but all those kind of secondary pieces will lose a little bit of touches, and like Kobe White takes a little bit of a hit because he doesn't have as much volume, and a little bit of Capo Satoransky. He's not really scoring much anyways because we're going to run more offense through Vooch rather than through Sato, kind of getting high screens and stuff. So those guys are a little bit losers, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I'm hoping the Bulls will flip Markkanen for Ball. Seemed like that was very much on the table. Haven't heard anything along the Lonzo Ball lines over the last couple hours, but you would think he's going to move, and hopefully it's to the Bulls. Draymond Green is weighing in. He is saying the Rondo to the Clippers is the best trade today. So there you have it from Draymond himself. What do you guys Drew, what do you think about this Rondo Lou Williams flip?
I wonder if that's a shot at Lou or if that's in favor of Rondo. Like with Dre, you just never know. There could be so many different angles to that tweet. I think it speaks to the fact that Lou struggled this season. I think that the health of the point guard position has been a challenge for the Clippers. If they have Beverly healthy in the playoffs, he's the guy you want on the floor as much as possible, but he just has not been able to stay healthy. And they clearly were not comfortable with Lou Williams kind of in that spot. I don't know how comfortable they are with Reggie Jackson in that spot. I think they want kind of more of a defender, but somebody who can also initiate a little bit as well. Obviously, playoff Rondo has the reputation of kind of showing up in the playoffs. It was a surprising trade to me just because the first instinct that I had was, maybe Lou with the diminished role this year is not fitting in as well in the locker room. They had all those locker room issues that came about last year, kind of after they lost when it was all reported. And maybe they need to find more playing time for Luke Kennard, who's been playing a little bit better of late than Terrence Mann. But, I think Rondo would probably take most of those minutes anyway. So I don't know. I'm not as high on Dre as that, but Dre knows a lot more about basketball than I do. So,
yeah. What are you thinking about it, Gallagher?
I mean, I don't get it. From both perspectives. Why you just got Bogdanovich, you got Kevin Huerter playing well. Obviously, Trey's a score first guard. I mean, DeAndre Hunter blossom offensively. Why are you getting an offense first guy? I just don't like that move at all. And then, yeah, I mean, sure, just get a little point guard depth. Facilitator makes sense. I kind of get it from the Clippers side. And yeah, it opens up more minutes for Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, all those guys that Lou Will was kind of affecting. So they've got more depth there. So it kind of makes sense from their end, but I just don't like it for the Hawks at all.
Yeah, the Hawks, you got to figure that you'll see a little bit more kind of Bogdanovich playing point as well and kind of initiating him and Huerter, those two doing that a little bit more. Their second unit could use some scoring punch just because, I think Huerter is a pretty good initiator of getting people involved and stuff, but not a great playmaker. He's pretty good at just organizing the offense and getting people into the right spots, but he's not great at creating looks for other people. And I think that's where Lou can do that a little bit more. So I like it a little bit more for Atlanta than I do for the Clippers, but I really don't think it really moves the needle a ton either way. I'll take Dre's word for it on that.
Trying to set up a countdown clock over here and it's just buzzing in my ear. Probably everybody out in YouTube world could hear that. Let's talk about the Nuggets. Another team dear to your heart, Drew. They picked up Aaron Gordon today. Gary Harris. You know what? It's a day of some excitement and also disappointment for me because I love Gary Harris. What a weird turn of events for him. I mean, I can understand him losing his athleticism because he's had injuries, but how do you forget to shoot? And I was looking at his stats this morning. I mean, he had season, I think it was 16-17. He shot 42% from three. The next year he shot 40%, and then he's been living in the low 30s since then. It's just very strange that he wouldn't be able to hit an open three, but doesn't seem like it's coming back. I think this is the third season in a row where he hasn't been able to shoot. So it made sense for the Nuggets to finally get off of him. How are you feeling about this trade, Drew?
I mean, I think from Denver's standpoint, the price tag was really amenable. They didn't have to give up Zeke Naji. Yes, they gave up a first-round pick, but it's going to be a late first-rounder. And they gave up RJ Hampton, who I'm sure they like, but he seems like he's a little bit away and not really impactful for their window right now. And I think the Gary Harris tea leaves were kind of, clear in the offseason when they made this move to bring in Campazzo. They've really made Jamal Murray their two guard now. Campazzo and Monty Morris are going to play a lot more kind of going forward, and PJ Dozier, guys who can like initiate but have some shooting issues, or at least as spot up guys. Monty's fine, but Campazzo and PJ Dozier are less so. So I think it's really interesting that Denver is just basically like looking at the landscape of the Western Conference and saying like, we got to be big if we're going to get through the Western Conference, because we got to go through the Clippers, we got to go through the Lakers, and we need big dudes, because they're going to run some lineups out there this year where Michael Porter might play the 2. Like they're going to run some giant lineups out there.
When you look at how that's true.
How tilted their roster is now away from guards. They just don't have guards on the roster now. And then for Aaron Gordon, the thing that I'd say is just generally like, I cannot imagine a better landing spot for Aaron Gordon to realize his potential in the best way possible, because he's a limited shooter, but he does move well off the ball. He can be an engaged defender. And I think he will really benefit from playing with Jokic. I think Jokic creates all the space that Gordon needs and can find him on the cuts. It's similar to Vucevic creating a lot of space for Gordon that Gordon needed, and Gordon started to play better the last few years. But Vucevic is nowhere near the passer that Jokic is, and that's just going to open up so much more. And obviously, this gives them their Jeremy Grant type guy to be able to switch LeBron pick and rolls. Like that was the big thing. They didn't have enough bodies to do that, and now they have that.
Yeah, definitely getting size on the perimeter for slowing down the Kawhis, the LeBrons, the Brandon Ingrams, the long downhilly shoot over the top of you wings. Like that's their number one thing that's going to burn them. So yeah, awesome pickup defensively, and then offensively, like they just played each other. And it was funny, like so many of the buckets Jokic produced that helped on the other day when they played the Magic were like Aaron Gordon buckets, like backdoor cuts. Like all this off-ball action. I think Aaron Gordon could really grow into a role like that. So I think it's a pretty good spot for him. Obviously, his ceiling isn't great. It hurts his fantasy upside because Jamal and Jokic and these guys are going to shoot the ball more. But yeah, definitely the Nuggets are going for it. And it's really, like I said on the show earlier, like get a guy who can guard bigs, JaVale, and get a guy who can guard wings and produce a little bit on offense in Gordon. So
they eased off the financial constraints they had a little bit, because Gordon is basically like the same as Barton in terms of, or wait, so Barton hasn't moved, right?
Right, he's still there, yeah.
Okay, so they still have Barton. So Gordon is an expiring this year, and Harris was beyond this year, I think, like one more year.
I think one more year.
Harris has one more year next year, yeah.
Okay.
Barton has...
but I guess they took on Aminu, right? So financially similar implications. But I was thinking that they got off the Harris contract that was bigger for like a year earlier than they probably would have been able to. But yeah, I think, God, man, even with Aminu, they just have so many big like fours.
Yeah. That's what they were missing for sure.
I guess the problem is going forward that they're going to have to pay Gordon, and then Michael Porter is going to have to get paid in the not too distant future. And then so you've got a lot of money locked up between those four guys, with Jamal and Joker, but I guess that's a problem.
Barton has a player option for $14.7 million, so he would.
I think Barton's gone.
I think he'll that.
I think Barton's gone. I don't. Do you guys think they for sure re-sign Aaron Gordon long term? I think this is a tryout.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I suppose they don't have to. I mean, they didn't give up a whole. It's not like they feel committed to have to do it, which is nice.
Yeah.
So Gary Harris is making $21 million next year. Aaron Gordon. Oh, so Gordon's got one more year. I was thinking he was a free agent after.
Oh, I thought he was a free agent at the end of this year.
Yeah, he's on the books for 16.5 next year. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, I mean, life for Aaron Gordon is going to be a lot easier in this situation than what he's dealt with. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to thrive. I've been wanting Aaron Gordon to get into a better situation, and this seems like a really good one.
Do you guys think this affects Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray negatively? Or I kind of don't.
I do.
Or Joker. Not significant. Like obviously a little bit. You're exchanging low usage guy Jerry Harris for a little bit, but I'm not freaking out over it.
Well, for Porter, I think it's just taking him further and further away from the basket. He's just going to play fewer minutes at the four. They just don't really have, they just don't really have guards. So I think. Plus, it's also just like a deeper team. He's been able to play a lot of minutes through these injuries of late. So like I think you're going to get back to the Michael Porter yo-yoed around between 25 to 32 minutes a night that you can't really predict what's going to happen. So from a fantasy perspective, I do think he takes a negative hit. Jamal, I think any growth that we were hoping for Jamal from fantasy purposes in terms of like the assist rate and stuff, it's just not going to happen. There's just he's just a shooter. He's a scorer now. So I think from a fantasy perspective, that does hurt him in terms of, where his value comes from in season long and categorical based leagues. But I think from a DFS perspective, it's not that big of a change. The challenge with all these guys is that Denver's been so thin for so long that them just getting depth in general back is going to scale some of these guys' minutes from like the 36 range down to the 34, 33. I think Murray's less impacted there just because of the guard issues, but I think that does impact Michael Porter Jr. quite a bit.
Scary.
They got JaVale too.
Yep.
Can't forget that. Per a source, the Boston Celtics are still engaged in deals. I mean,
of course they are.
The source is Danny Ainge.
Almost Danny.
Ainge.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. We're down to 11 minutes and 33 seconds until the deadline.
Dude, it's going to be flooding in. There's going to be so many at the buzzer deals. It's going to be crazy.
I mean, Lowry for sure is moving, right? That's what it seems like to me. I haven't heard anything. Has there been anything chirping on Oladipo this morning, Gallagher? I haven't seen his name. He's
at practice today, so after his personal reasons yesterday. So
what are the other?
That's
big
annoying.
Names
It's pretty what him. Who's the third guy I'm forgetting? Other guard.
Lonzo.
Yep. There you go. Yep. Nothing. It's all gonna be at the buzzer.
The Lonzo stuff is weird to me because this Bulls like Lowry for Lonzo deal has been rumored for so long. I don't understand what that gets New Orleans. So and like if other teams are interested in Lonzo at all, I'd have to think they could get something better than Lowry. So like I just don't understand it. I'm hopeful as a Bulls fan that could be worked out, but it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I think he just wants out. I mean, they're just trying to get something for him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but like, what does Markkanen even do for them this year?
Oh no, I'm just saying from I don't think they're in on Markkanen. It just makes no sense. The more I think about it.
Yeah, that's been the rumor around the Bulls is like Markkanen and Sato or something like that. What does that get? That it gets them like I don't understand why New Orleans would do that. And there's got to be someone else out there that's interested in Lonzo, and. The challenge with the one knock against trading for Lonzo is I believe he has a huge cap hit for next year because of his draft pedigree.
Lonzo's 14.4 next year, and it'll be a restricted.
But I thought the hold is like 26.
Could be. I'm not sure.
28, yeah, 28.7. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the one knock against like trading for him now. If you were going to. I mean, you get the restricted rights though. You get the ability to match. So
I think wherever he goes would want to go long term, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, you got. I mean, he's not exactly the quiet. What was representation?
Yeah.
Clutch. You'd think they're pretty upfront with what they want to do.
Gallagher,
I'm sure everyone is. What's up?
From a fantasy perspective, who has gained the most value today, or guys that you could pick up on the wire?
Wendell Carter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., and maybe Otto Porter Jr. if he doesn't get bought out junior season. I just think Wendell Carter Jr. getting a fresh start is huge. This team's going to be so short on guys. Terrence Ross is the captain now, so maybe Wendell Carter Jr. could be first mate with that. So yeah, I'm into Wendell, and yeah, like we were saying, Gary Trent Jr. Like for them to make this deal, that says to me they believe in Gary Trent Jr. and lockdown shooter. He can handle the ball a little bit, obviously not a lot. Good defender. We know he's capable of playing huge minutes. So yeah, I think those two guys are the guys that I would say you need to pick them up like ASAP.
Yeah, not a bunch of moves so far.
I picked up RJ Hampton in my 30-man league just because who knows with the Magic.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of like low key ones. Oh, Nurkic is coming back too.
Terrence
shooting
Ross
for
is definitely a good pickup if he's out there in
Yeah.
your league. So he would probably be the top pickup for me amongst all these guys, I think.
Yeah,
But he's probably owned
I don't
quite a
know.
bit. You don't think?
He just scores. He doesn't do anything
He
else.
threes and steals.
Yeah.
Threes and
Yeah.
steals. I think the spot you want to look to is Orlando. There's just so much vacated usage there with Vucevic and Gordon and Fournier, and so much minutes and opportunity. And in terms of guys that can pick that up right away, Wendell Carter Jr. and Terrence Ross, if he stays, if they don't trade him, certainly fill that void. It sounds like Cole Anthony is a ways away still. There wasn't any really confirmed updated timeline on that's anything close. So, the Magic are going to be running out some weak lineups the rest of the way, and losing Aminu and Gary Clark, I think, is good for Chuma Okaki as well.
Mm-hmm.
That just clears up some of that four clutter that they had that was kind of in front of him. We'll see if they keep playing Kem Birch there. I actually think it's okay if they keep doing that, but Ennis, they probably make more of a three just because they're down cards and wings now without Fournier.
Yeah.
So I think the Magic is the number one place that you want to look to in terms of risers for value. Toronto is trading guard Terrence Davis to Sacramento for a future second round pick. No idea what Sacramento is doing.
Yeah.
Never do. Getting some questions about Denver. Do you think they're potentially contenders now? I don't know if it bumps them into the contender, but I do think they're a better team today than they were yesterday. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, I think right now Brooklyn looks like they're on another level, and we know that the Lakers, when they're healthy, are on another level. And then we think that if everything breaks right for the Clippers, we could see them reach up into that level and then the next tier. And I think Denver's been towards the bottom of that next tier, and maybe it moves them closer to the top of that next tier. But I still think, their ceiling, I do not think can match the ceiling of the Lakers. Clippers maybe, but I don't think it can match the ceiling of the Lakers or the Nets.
Gallagher, Gordon's fantasy value, probably a few rounds worse than it was in Orlando, or how are you looking at that rest of the season?
Yeah, and just to add on Terrence Ross, he is going to murder you in field goal percentage. So I'm thinking category, it's going to be bad, man. He's not going to be a top 100 player just because of bad field goal percentage at such volume like that. But yeah, Gordon loses value for sure. He's going to be more efficient. I don't really think maybe he could get more steals and stuff because that's kind of fallen off and why he's dipped down from being a guy that was flirting with earlier run value when he's breaking out to now not really. So yeah, I mean, he doesn't have much upside because there's just not many shots for him. So yeah, if I were drafting today, 8-9 cap leagues, I'd probably be looking 9th round. Nothing crazy.
I think more than anything for Aaron Gordon, if you have Aaron Gordon in fantasy, you now know that he's not going to be sitting and managed a bunch of games the rest of the way. And so whatever per game value you lose, you kind of pick up in certainty that he's just going to play.
Yep.
Same with Vooch.
And I also think that there's just I think there's a chance Gordon doesn't lose too much because I think there's a chance whatever he loses in counting stats, he picks up in efficiency and defensive stats, which are often a little bit undervalued in category leagues. In DFS, he'll definitely lose value. He's just not going to have as much volume.
Yeah, and he won't be playing any point guard in Denver, which he was able to do a little bit.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he initiates some. It wouldn't surprise me in the second unit if they stagger. We'll just have to see what they end up doing. But no, he will not be playing bring the ball up, initiate every possession type.
Yeah.
So
stuff.
they're starting Jamal, Will Barton, Gordon, MPJ, Joker, right? That's unanimous.
Yeah, that's my assumption. It could be Monty over Barton.
Yeah, that's my only thing too. Him off the second unit, he's a little bit of a better pure volume scorer than Monty is. But Monty and Facu, I think, could be fun. So I think that kind of fits together. But because Will Barton guarding threes was just wrong. Yeah. So now they don't have to do that anymore.
Down to 3 minutes. I think one takeaway with these small moves that Toronto is making with Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas, it makes it very clear that they're making room to get rid of Lowry. So
Absolutely.
Tell us where. What they were saying before we came on air here was that it was basically the Heat or the Lakers, and the Heat were balking at including Hero, which I think makes all the sense in the world. The Lakers.
Pelicans close to sending JJ Redick to the Mavericks per Shams.
Okay. What do you guys think about that?
Don't care.
Does JJ have anything left in the tank? He hasn't shown much this year.
No Lonzo Ball trade, sources tell ESPN. He's staying in New Orleans.
That was probably the right move for them, I think.
Sad day for all people who stashed Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
I mean, I guess so, but it was weird them advertising that they're not going to bring him back long term. The whole thing is strange. But yeah, probably.
I guess you're just hoping for a sign and trade in the offseason is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I guess so. On Redick,
just to stick with that, this is what I thought. Once the Bulls made that trade, there was no way they were going to get Lonzo. They didn't have the ammunition.
Yeah.
That's why Bulls fans were floating around the Lonzo for Lowry, because we thought that was the thing. But yeah, I always thought that wasn't enough, or it didn't make sense. Right. So I think the Bulls are just going to make a big offer to Lonzo in the offseason is my guess. But I don't know what they do with Lowry. That it's just such a disappointment to not get anything coming back that could have eased the pain of the price of Vucevic.
Indeed. Down to 1 minute here.
What were the protections on those picks? I wasn't really too locked in on the news.
Top 4 for this year, and then I did not see the 23. They said lightly protected. So
okay. There's the Drummond buyout news, which we knew was coming.
Yeah.
No one was going to trade for him. That was obvious months ago.
Same with Aldridge, who apparently is going to be going to the Heat. Has been all the reports that Aldridge is lined up to buy out and go to the Heat.
Who breaks the Lowry news, guys? Is it? Could be a beat. Could it be Woj?
Shams started the day hot, but Woj kind of took things over. So my money would be on Woj
season for sure.
Yeah,
I'm hoping Lowry ends up with the Heat. I think
that's for sure what's going to go down. What do you? I mean, I guess we'll just wait till we get that deal. So what about? Do you want to talk about Drummond real quick? I mean, it's obviously Lakers are crossing their fingers.
Seems like he's going to end up in LA. Who are the other suitors?
The Knicks were reportedly interested, which was weird.
Well, so there was a report about that apparently there's only one front office guy that wants Drummond, and the rest of them are like, no thanks. So
So one guy's floating stuff out to the press.
Got the sunny Philadelphia board drawing up stuff. Oh, we can play Drummond and Mitch together.
I love the idea of one dude being no, I really think we should get Drummond, and then going to the press and being hey, we're in on Drummond, and then leak it and see how the fans react, and then bring it back and be see, the fans really want this, or the fans don't, or I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So no Depot. Well, I mean, I guess we're still waiting on.
It's gonna be nuts right now.
Still, but I feel like we would have heard some chirping on Depot coming up to the
deadline. No Hawks big deal. Collins and Bogdan are staying. So that's kind of what we thought the last couple of days, which is crazy.
I was thinking with the way that the day started that we might get a really crazy deadline, but pretty quiet actually.
We're gonna get more.
If Lowry does end up,
we all think it's Miami for Lowry,
right?
There it is. Here it is. Lakers. God. Stupid Lakers. Says
for Kuzma.
Wow.
What?
Sorry, Kuz.
He was on my feed right before we came on. They were interviewing him about the trades, and he's
wait. Is this a fake Woj? Did you get fake Woj?
I mean,
I think you got faked Woj. I don't see it.
Yeah, the Raptors are getting fake Woj.
Yeah, I didn't get it. The Raptors got fake Woj. Come on.
You gotta be kidding me.
Hey man,
what? I didn't see that.
I'll tell you what. With fake Woj back, the world is healing. Things are getting back to normal. It's good
Yeah,
to see.
Dallas got
Oh,
Redick.
Trey Lyles. And they're getting Trey
And
Lyles.
Trey Lyles in a multi-team deal.
Come on, DeRozan. Give me some DeRozan. Give me some Patty Mills. Give me some Keldon in my life.
Wait,
What is
what's the Trey Lyles deal?
It
Well, it's a
just says-
three-way trade with the Pelicans.
Oh,
Boulder. There we go.
Bulls in talks to trade Mo Wagner to the Celtics for Daniel Tice. I actually like that quite a bit.
Oh my God.
Your boy.
Oh my Time Lord.
Yeah,
that would
both
be
your
big.
boys. Time Lord gets freed. Drew gets his Daniel
Yeah.
Tice lover.
Yeah.
No Wolves trades, according to the Athletic.
Like,
Boo. Didn't free my man McDaniels. Hate you. What else we got? Any other?
give us the Lowry news. Yeah, I really hope
Yeah,
it's the
come
Heat,
on.
not the Lakers.
It's going to be Miami. I'd be honestly shocked if it's not.
So they were
It'll be
centering
Duncan
around Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, and something and picks. That's what I think it's going to be. And whatever other salary you need to make that.
Doug Smith. I've deleted a retweet of a fake voice.
Oh, it was Doug. Of course, it was Doug Smith. Of course, it was. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
People, he's very upset. People who make up shit like that are absolutely beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, totally their fault.
Oh man,
Dougie.
that's so good.
Need some depot, dude. All the three guards, man. What up? If Lowry stays, man, could you imagine?
He's
There's
not.
no way.
There's
though.
no way with all the moves they were making.
Yeah.
Apparently sticking with Houston through the deadline, Oladipo.
Gross.
Nobody wanted him.
Rockets clearly like him. Houston offered Oladipo a 2-year extension last month per Chris Mannix.
We could talk about the Norm Powell trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one kind of flew under the radar. I actually missed it initially when it happened. But Norm Powell is going to the Blazers
Cavs are done.
for Gary
Cavs
Trent.
didn't trade Larry. Larry Nance is a big winner. Staying put. I said on the show that Larry Nance getting traded after what he did last night would be like breakup sex. Like, great night and then it's done. But yeah. So do you want me to? I'll take Norm. Yeah, Norm takes a huge hit for Norm. You're going up with two huge high volume scorers. Obviously Van Vliet and Lowry are good, but Dame, CJ, and Nurk coming back and all these guys, that's bad, man. And I think, like I said earlier, Gary Trent's a big winner.
Yeah, Drew, you were saying that you thought it was a little strange before we came on the air here.
Yeah. I think Norm's really good. Really, really, really good. I think he's going to get a ton of money in free agency in the offseason. And it is surprising to me that what looks like the reported like things that the Raptors are looking for Lowry looks so much higher than what I think they got for Norm, which is Gary Trent is solid. I think Gary Trent's a really solid player, but you are going to have to pay him in restricted free agency. So I was surprised by that, especially when you're talking about like, I guess if the thing is the package drop-offs are so big on some of these like Lakers Miami talks, like Tyler Hero is on a different level than all these other guys that are being kind of thrown around. But like Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson, like that seems like a better deal than Trent. And I don't know that Norm's much, but Lowry's got this playoff pedigree, I guess. But Norm's really, really good. I think that makes the Blazers very, very interesting in the playoffs, man. That's four very solid playoff players in McCollum, Dame, Powell, and Nurk. And then you have Covington and Hornets acquiring Brad Wanamaker.
LeBrad.
Losing LaMelo in place of LaMelo.
Is that like the worst? Like, oh, we lost LaMelo. Let's get Brad Wanamaker. Like, could they be any two different players as far as their style? That's crazy.
Larry Nance with the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, like come on, dude. And we also apparently deleted the Trey Lyles thing, Shams. So,
interesting.
We're waiting for this big thing, and we get Brad Wanamaker, man.
Blake Murphy from the Rap Speed, the gall to tweet about Brad Wanamaker right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then Shams corrected. He said no Trey Lyles in this one, but Trey will be either bought out or traded. So
Doug Smith is just tilting his face off.
Oh my god.
Anyway, 6 minutes
All right.
past here. Give us the Lowry news.
Yeah, right.
On the Lonzo Ball front, Bulls would have to have had. They would have had to waive Thad Young and/or Satoransky. I can't keep up. It's getting scrolled down.
I mean, Shams can't have the Lowry hit if he's treating about Brad Wanamaker.
Yeah.
I think it's Woj minus 700.
So what they're saying is for Lonzo, the Bulls would have to waive Thad,
Yep.
and or Satoransky to prepare an offer sheet, to even get an offer sheet for Lonzo in the offseason. They got to waive those two guys. So that's why the Bulls were so hot about trying to acquire him now, with those, essentially with those pieces that they would have to give up anyway, because it locks in that opportunity. So basically, I guess this offseason, if you see the Bulls waive Thad and Satoransky, you can go bet Lonzo to the Bulls props, because the behind the scenes has probably figured it all out with those two teams.
Did we get the Bulls are done tweets? I didn't see any.
No, we did the last tweet was from
Casey Johnson
and the Tice stuff.
Casey is probably my favorite beat writer. Side note, he's so freaking good.
Guy's a legend.
Yeah. Come on, man.
So yeah, Mavs getting Redick does like almost nothing for me. I kind of feel bad because I was hoping JJ could get back to Brooklyn, just because I know how much he loves living in Brooklyn. But I mean, he'll be like, I don't know, he'll be like a possession guy, like that comes in like late game for a three. I don't know. Is he gonna play a lot of minutes? I don't really foresee that.
Can't imagine much.
And there's like limited lineup combinations that work with that roster.
Oh boy.
Okay, Oladipo to the Heat.
Really?
Per Woj.
So Lowry to the Lakers then?
Per Woj.
My hemp internet's behind you guys. You're beating me to the punch
Duncan
here.
Robinson. It'd probably be Duncan plus something else.
Huh. Okay, so that means Lowry's going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I would think so.
God, the Lakers, man. It ain't fair. It ain't fair.
What we got? So let's please don't
these good luck like scoring on the Heat in the playoffs, man. Like Oladipo, Bam, and Jimmy. That's going to be a heck of a defensive conversation, lineup combination. Man.
Tough sledding indeed. Hopefully Oladipo doesn't.
I guess we'll see who.
Yeah, I mean, just hopefully he doesn't take too many shots there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Kendrick Nunn doesn't take Kevin Porter Jr.'s minutes. That's all I'm hoping for right now. It's gonna be Kendrick Nunn. Do you think they give up Duncan Robinson for Depot? I guess so. I don't think so. I don't think they would give that up. I think Duncan Robinson's gonna stay.
So you think it's Nunn and what?
Nunn, Casey Okpala, that kind of stuff.
Avery Bradley? Like, how do they have the money to get there?
Well, it'll be Olynyk and stuff like that.
Oh, Olynyk. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's where LaMarcus Aldridge's buyout comes in.
Yep.
So
Olynyk's in any big Miami deal, pretty much. I feel like.
Do you think Olynyk's an ad in season long?
Kind of. Not really. Actually, I take that back down. Not really.
Yeah. What's the fantasy fallout here, Gallagher?
Depot definitely loses. We got to find out who Houston's getting back. So we'll keep that in the holster. But I definitely don't like Depot's value getting any better. Jimmy, he's going to play kind of off ball a little bit more. He's not a great off ball guy. So I think he's could be like, kind of what
Raptors are keeping Kyle Lowry. Source tells ESPN per Woj. Wow.
That's insane.
And if the Lakers, if what stopped them from doing it, the reporting earlier was that they didn't want to get rid of Horton Tucker, which seems like
insane, dude.
I mean, he's really their only young piece, but still.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I didn't want Lowry going to the Lakers. They don't need more help.
Yeah. That's crazy that you'd think Norm would be more likely to stay than Lowry.
I know. That's shocking to me. Man,
Come on, details on this Depot thing. What were they? What were they even asking for? No Spencer Dinwiddie trade.
But yeah, I would think, Oladipo to the Heat, it's going to be a slight hit to the other guys on the Heat as well because Depot's going to suck up more usage. I don't
Definitely
think
not feeling Tyler Hero anymore.
yeah, they're also just going to struggle. Like offensively, they need Depot to be the floor spacer, I guess. They're like,
yeah, yep. That's why I was saying I don't think they could trade Duncan Robinson in this situation. I think he's just too valuable for what they want to do. Of course, this means he's going to get traded.
I don't think they would have needed to include him based on what we know about the market for Oladipo.
Exactly.
man,
What
I wanted to see Kyle on a contender in the
Me
playoffs.
What he's got to be
love
top.
Kyle
Like,
Lowry.
as far as like the superstars, like he's probably one of my favorite dudes.
I
He's
love
just
Kyle
hilarious.
Lowry.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And his whole career arc is great.
yeah, he's awesome.
No trade for LaMarcus, which we kind of knew.
Shocking. He'll be on the Heat tomorrow.
Yep. Well, he's got to clear waivers first.
Right, which he'll clear easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oladipo, the big, Vooch, I guess. Vooch, the big name.
Mm-hmm.
Oladipo and Aaron Gordon. Pretty solid trade deadline.
So who won the deadline? It seems to me like Denver probably improved the most.
Yeah. I think Denver and Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That have gotten picks back, getting a good young player. I think they executed.
Yeah.
They're playing pretty well.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about Fournier to the Celtics.
That was
Yeah,
a pretty
true.
good move too. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
That was a
on
really good
Drew?
move. Only cost a couple of second round picks. They just have tons of depth issues on their roster. We've talked about this, and Brad Stevens even alluded to it in a comment. I think it was earlier this week, maybe it was last week, where he said, clearly nobody has separated themselves on our bench from each other, and that's just you can read the tea leaves on that one. Like all these guys suck so far,
Yeah.
and they so. Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a 2022 pick swap. That is unbelievably cheap.
There you go. No Kendrick either. So if you stash Kevin Porter Jr., you're feeling good right now.
That is unbelievably cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2022 pick swap, like Houston's not going to be swapping picks
No.
unless it's like a second to a first or something like that. But that doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be phrased as a pick swap.
Yeah.
I'm confused on that. That's giving Oladipo away.
Hey, Avery Bradley still got something left in the tank. No kidding.
Well, I mean, it just didn't make sense. It didn't seem like he was going to resign there. So, why? I mean, they literally got nothing back, basically. But
yeah, that's right. Like we'll see the details on the pick swap, but I don't envision scenarios that Miami is drafting ahead of Houston that the pick swap would be valuable unless I'm misunderstanding an asset that Miami has that's not their own pick.
yeah.
No, like they must have like scouting that's in like fifth graders because that might be the next time that Miami's picking ahead of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's got to be like a 2028 or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean,
It makes no
really
sense to do it
far
short
out.
term.
But that I think if you're Miami has to rise to the level on the winners now.
Well, if I'm them, like when's Jimmy Butler going to start being bad? Like that is when after that is when I want my pick swap. So I want my pick swap in like 5 years.
Yeah.
But maybe Jimmy would be good till he's 40.
I don't know if Jimmy's got 5 years left. Like, Jimmy's got,
Yeah, true. I know. I was thinking when he's like really starting.
I hope he does, but he's got a lot of miles on those tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marquise Chris traded to the Spurs. That's interesting. He had that knee injury. They were going to shut him down for the season.
It's weird. Getting back to the Fournier stuff, I think for Boston, like, really solidifies them back into can maybe steal a playoff series just because they had no depth. They had absolutely no depth. And just having that depth gives them a shot. And I think Fournier is a pretty good player, like a really solid offensive player, has his limitations defensively. But I think that was a really solid move for Boston. It rolled over their trade exception. They got another trade exception through that. So, they keep rolling things over to hopefully, cash in on something with that Gordon Hayward loss that they had. Which all jokes aside about Danny Ainge is like, if you can't find the guy that's the right fit for right now, that's the best thing you can do is keep rolling that stuff over. So
unclear if the Bulls and the Celtics were able to get the Daniel Tice deal done in time. So keep an eye on that one. What about do you think Al Horford is going to get bought out? Is he on the last year of his deal? What's the story with Horford?
Mm-mm.
He's got another year.
Yeah.
So he ain't getting bought out.
I don't think. Yeah, he's just gonna get his rest. He's earned it. Yeah, he's under contract for 2 more years after this year.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, that's right, because he signed that big deal. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, nobody wants that money. Yeah.
Yeah, so
he'll just get a front row seat of playing next to Moses Brown. Ball out.
I cannot believe Houston.
Dude.
So all right, so we got to go back. We got to go all the way back now to unwind to the Harden deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically now in the Harden deal, they just got pick swaps. They got picks and pick swaps.
Yep.
Woj confirmed Tice to Chicago. We did it, boys. We brought him home. It's not his home; it's my home. But we brought him. Daniel Tice. God, the Bulls are going to make the playoffs now.
Yeah, they will indeed do that. Now, will they win a game in the playoffs?
Yes, I think they'll win a game in the playoffs. Does the play-in game count?
That does not count.
Does the play-in game to the play-in game count when they're in the 9-10? Maybe they could knock out the 10 seed.
Dropping pieces of this ridiculous chair behind me. I think Tice is a good acquisition for the Bulls. They can play him as their backup center. The thing I liked most about what the Bulls did today was Troy Brown Jr., which I know like Bulls fans on Twitter are just like eviscerating my account today because everybody is just in my mentions telling me how much Wendell Carter Jr. sucks and how I'm an idiot for being excited about Troy Brown Jr. when Vucevic is an all-star. But I felt, I've had similar Twitter interactions when Jimmy Butler was traded. So we'll see a few years from now if the people come back.
This sounds like my group chat with my friends from high school. All these takes.
When Troy Brown Jr. is a solid wing rotation player, and the only hope to the Bulls not giving up 135 points a night.
Yeah, my friends are about to throw a parade for Vooch. It'll at least be nice to have the Bulls back in the playoffs. I'll say that.
It'll also like Vooch is a fun player to watch, like and root for. It's just like you just. At the end of the day, the score is really high on the other team's total, but it's fun while you're watching him. So, and Tice is a good defensive center as like a backup center. I think that's like his perfect fit in the league. This Lauri Markkanen has like really no place on this roster though. So it's
Can we talk about the fun part? Can we talk about the fun part of this now? How many minutes is Time Lord gonna get?
Oh.
Dude, Time Lord.
28?
Time Lord
you
is...
You think he'd get that many? I mean, so if he is out there on your waiver wire right now,
he is a top 35 fantasy asset going forward.
I mean, he might be higher than that if he's playing 28 minutes. 28 minutes seems a little hot, but I like it.
Yeah.
He's been...
It's so Time Lord time.
Let's see... He's been average per game over the last 30 days. He's been 67. I mean, he just throws up so many blocks.
And steals.
And steals.
And
dunks.
And it all comes with incredible field goal percentage.
Yep.
Yeah. No, he's going to be an absolute monster.
And he doesn't really get to the line that much, so he doesn't really hurt you that much there. Like, oh.
It was like when Larry Sanders had that run before he was dancing on like greasy floors in the nightclub. He was like around the turn, man. He was certainly second round value. Just slamming the blocks and the steals and a good field goal percentage. So yeah, if Time Lord's out there, he shouldn't be out there, but if he is, run and get him.
Yeah. So what was this? So Brad Stevens was saying he wants to ramp him up, and they want to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. So, I mean, they're ramping up. I mean, you look at the minutes, and they're 15, 16, 21 this month. So even at like 24, like you got locked in.
Yeah. Like, I also will say this. I was kind of interested in this for the Bulls when it was Mo Wagner to the Bulls originally, but I think Mo Wagner with a good developmental team is an interesting long-term prospect. He was, I don't consider Washington a good developmental team. So I do, Boston, we'll see. Like, they've been kind of hit or miss. With the development, they've developed high-end guys really well, but the secondary guys have been kind of shakier. But I do hold out a little bit of hope for Mo Wagner long-term as well. Like, I think he can play.
Time Lord is Robert Williams. What is the genesis of that name, Gallagher?
He showed up late to his introductory press conference,
which consequently caused him to miss a flight, and he missed like all these other team activities. And he came up. He got the name Time Lord, and he missed something else because his alarm clock didn't work.
That's right.
Great nickname. Definitely one of the best nicknames.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, he's great. I'm excited.
Like, missed a summer league game because of it. I was like so pumped to watch him, and like he missed it because like he didn't make the flight, and I was like So I think it was someone from one of the Boston blogs. I forget his name exactly, but mad props.
Man.
All right, guys. Any other closing thoughts here?
Well, let's rank the winners and the losers at the trade deadline.
Miami.
I think Miami number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
On the winners list. I think Houston number one with a bullet on the losers list. I cannot believe. I mean, why did Houston just not keep Karis LeVert?
That's it. Like, it's that simple. Like, what do you is Tillman Fertitta that poor? Like, did he not get his stimulus check? Like, why are you getting rid of Karis LeVert for nothing, dude?
The Rockets got Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, Dante Exum, Rodion Kurucs, and a bunch of first-round picks that are most likely late first-round picks.
For a guy that just had a game winner last night in a close game, for a guy that's super talented, guy that can play 30 usage rate, guy that's
Yeah, Michael.
If you're a Rockets fan, we said this back when this went down. We said like, yo, your Rockets are about to get a real rough trip here. And
I mean,
they were apparently overrating that.
They got rid of a team that was on the brink of a championship. If they could have made a single three against the Warriors, they just tore that whole thing down in 2 years, and they're left with nothing.
Or Chris Paul's hammy, just oof.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Daryl Morey was like, yo, I'm out.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so who do you guys have as the second biggest winner after Miami?
Denver for me.
Yeah,
I think that's right. Nicola Melli is going to Dallas as well.
Oh, there you go. That's nothing.
I don't doesn't Dallas have to cut somebody at some point? Like, what is going on?
Right.
They've got like 16 white dudes on their roster that shoot.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's kind of quiet. It's a little disappointing overall. I can't believe Lowry didn't.
Jeff Teague and Javonte Green also headed out, according to Mark Murphy. Potentially,
they don't need that now that they got Fournier. That's what I was saying earlier. Like all those, and you mentioned it. Like Aaron Nesmith was supposed to be the guy, and then all of a sudden he's not.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be heading out, so they'll still have an opportunity to develop him. But some of these secondary.
Oh no! I'm just saying minutes wise.
Yeah, they got to cut the fat. I agree with you guys on Denver as the second big winner, and then I would say Orlando. We were talking about that before, but I think they did pretty well here to get 3 first-round picks and Wendell Carter Jr. and a couple seconds as well for unloading those three guys that, are three guys that how much do they really move the needle on winning at the end of the day? So to get all those picks, to be able to rebuild through Jonathan Isaac, who I think we were all really excited about and just has had really terrible injury luck so far. And it also cleared out all the clog on their roster that they had that allows Jonathan Isaac to play the 4 and occasionally spot 5 as well, which I think just is going to be great for him if he can be healthy.
Yeah.
What do we think? Do we think Boston? I mean, I don't get it. Like Tice has been bad this year, but you're gonna dip him for that?
Really... That's for money. That's financial purposes.
Yeah, it's dirty for all these dudes in their prime.
Yeah.
Other winners today, like Kevin Porter Jr. now. I guess Daniel House not getting traded is good news for him. I think KJ Martin's a little bit of a loser. Just because they didn't totally clean house, pun intended. Yeah.
And they add in Olnick unless they buy out Olnick, but I don't think they will. I think they're so short on just NBA players.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Porter Jr., who we expected to be a big winner. I think Terrence Ross, especially in like points-based leagues, I think there certainly are considerations about how he'll hurt field goal, but there's going to be a lot of shots there. I think it's a win for Wendell Carter Jr. Had seen his playing time dip in Chicago. I think he can get back up to the 28 minutes a night type role in Orlando over time. And then I think, I think it's a win for Troy Brown Jr. just because like Washington had him buried, and the Bulls' wing depth isn't great. So I think there's a path there. I think it's a loss for Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, I mean Troy you think he's going to beat out Denzel Valentine, Archie Diacono, and those dudes?
I mean, I think over time he could. I mean, it's
Garrett Temple didn't get a market.
Yeah,
that great contract. I thought they could have got like Lisa.
Yeah,
a couple seconds or something.
Well, I mean, they're going for it. So
true.
Yeah, and then Gary Trent Jr. big winner there as well. Because the Raps are still gonna be decent. They kept Kyle. And yeah.
I mean, are the Raptors aren't really a bad team on paper, man.
No, they finally played their best lineup last night and just smashed the Nuggets on the second night of a back-to-back still, but they just smashed them.
Lowry had the biggest plus-minus of his career in that game, like plus 40 something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, they're only 2.5 out of the play-in.
Houston
actually low-key
on Twitter.
Low-key loser Boucher.
Yeah.
Like not having that small ball lineup with Gary Trent Jr., who's a better defender than Norm is. Like Nick Nurse is going to want to play that small ball lineup a lot.
James Johnson went to the Pelicans in that deal with Wes Iwundu. So
yeah,
some bodies.
It's kind of crazy that like I was expecting Boucher to, of all the permanent guys, like Boucher gets hurt and Robert Williams gets the boost.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, he's the winner of the day.
Oh yeah.
I know. Like, we talked about it for a while. It's still, man, I can't even just stay healthy, big man.
Yeah. To the fellow in chat
What's
dropping Keldon Johnson. Do not drop Keldon Johnson.
Don't do it unless it's for like time. Obviously, Time Lord, you drop whoever you have to drop. But like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd drop him for Gary Trent Jr.
Gary Trent's probably.
Because like DeMar didn't go anywhere. Like I was hoping DeMar would go somewhere, but Rudy Gay's gonna probably get bought out. I hope. But you could drop Nickeil Alexander-Walker now. Most of the stashes you can drop now.
Yep.
Hassan Whiteside you can drop. Surprised the Kings are quiet. Besides like as far as like picking up actual assets. I mean DeJuan's fine.
Yeah.
But...
I mean it's the Kings.
True. Touche.
All right, we got to go figure out how this impacts the DFS slate for tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm sure it impacts plenty.
There's the buyout for LaMarcus again from Chris Haynes, so he'll clear tomorrow or Tuesday. What is that? Saturday. So Saturday he'll be on the Heat.
All right.
Yeah.
Final stretch,
Cool.
boys and girls. Pretty soon it's going to be the playoffs. That's what I'm looking forward to. About 6 weeks out, maybe a little bit more. It's coming. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out over at Establish a Run. We do shows 4 days a week for the DFS slate. We'll be doing one later tonight. Should be a pretty good slate as far as finding some edge if you can sort through all the changes that have occurred. And nice little 5-gamer. That's what we like, right, Drew?
Oh yeah.
That's what dreams are made of. All right, guys.